Welcome to episode 28 of the Hour podcast on Star Wars Rebels. I've yet to re-watch it, but I like Rebels. Maybe not as much as Clone Wars, since Clone Wars was my childhood. But yeah, um, Clone Wars is still, you know, good. I mean, Rebels. I've stated before, Clone Wars is good. Had a whole episode on it, but this episode is for Rebels. So let's talk about the good and the bad. I don't think like the content was more family friendly for the most part, like especially during the first two seasons it was more friendly, but it definitely gets more intense to the latter half, from my memory, because I can't remember, because the tipping point is sort of like when Kanan goes blind, and I forget if that's 2 or 3. It might even be season 1, but I doubt that. I really doubt that, but I won't know until I re-watch it. But yeah, I think it's season 2 because there's 4 seasons, so I think that would make sense. But then again, it's been a while. So yeah, it's a bit more family friendly, but the one thing it does better than the Clone Wars is it doesn't really have those extra arcs like the droid arcs and like the youngling arc, which are a bit more of on the meh side. Actually, rewatching them, they weren't as bad as memory, but still they're not as great as some of the other arcs in the Clone Wars. But I've stated this before. Let's talk about Rebels and the interesting things of Rebels. So, interesting things. Bendu, the one in between, the one that has light and dark, since we've never quite got someone who uses both light and dark, but apparently that may have happened in Jedi Survivor, according to my friend Skyslayer, who is not here for this podcast, but probably in future podcasts. But yeah, Bendu is interesting. Also got to see Sith holocrons. Interesting. The end of Maul's story, that was also pretty good. Kenobi just instantly defeats Maul, but it kind of makes sense after all that time and all that thinking. He would know Maul very well. Another interesting thing is the world between worlds. Very interesting, connecting the Star Wars timeline and stuff across different eras and stuff. Seems pretty interesting. Pretty bad thing if Palpatine got his hands on it, but yeah. Luckily, that was not. And then we have, the main characters themselves, like Kanan, Ezra, who's missing. Let's see what happens in Ahsoka when that comes out. Hera, Sabine, Zeb, which we saw a cameo in Mando season 3. And Chopper boy, my question is, spoilers for the end of Rebels, but it's not too spoilers. But like, Hera had a son, like, with Caleb. Like, what happened to the son? I haven't seen them in the trailer. Like, what's happened to the child? What happened to the child? Like, if that isn't addressed in any way, it, I guess, be a missed opportunity, especially since being, a son of Kanan, probably going to be a Force user. So yeah, unless that Luke's new like Jedi Order, which doesn't bode well, knowing the future. And yeah, but since the son was like young, and stuff, they probably would have grown up at the same time as, like, you know, Ben Solo. So yeah, or Kylo Ren. So they may be alive, possibly. We won't know until, like, later if they address it in Ahsoka. But back to Rebels, and of course I have to talk about the man himself, Thrawn. Just saying Thrawn is like I don't know, fear-inducing and whatever. Like, Thrawn is a thorn in your back. Bad jokes, but yeah, Thrawn is cool, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Also, the hyperspace whales, which showed up in Mando season 3, like, oh yeah, I remember those. We're getting to see all the Rebel things around the time the Rebel characters are returning. Coincidence? I think not. Obviously, because, yeah, it would make sense. But, yeah. But, yeah, I think overall, like, Rebels is more consistent. Like, there's an actual build up, like, to, like, the Rebels are struggling, but also, like, build up to the beginning of, like, the fall of the Empire, like the one of the first, like, probably major victories that the Rebels actually do mean something. So yeah, like, I think overall Rebels is more consistent than Clone Wars because it does have its meh things, even like Jar Jar Binks, except like the last Jar Jar Binks arc in, like, season 6 is the only one to, like, sort of explain Jar Jar and how Jar Jar is Jar Jar, I guess, I suppose. So yeah. Also, I think I've figured out what my least favorite Clone Wars season is since last time, since I don't think I exactly said. I think it would have to be season 5, just because 8 of the episodes are basically dud episodes. I mean, it has both the droid arc, the long drawn out droid arc, other than Gregor, who's a Chad, uh, it's one of the weaker Clone Wars arcs and the Youngling arc. And other than the chat that is that droid, I forget its name, I literally just rewatched this arc like a day or two ago at time of recording. So yeah, I have bad memory sometimes. But yeah, the one done by like David Tennant, voiced by David Tennant, which will also be showing up in Ahsoka. So yeah, that's cool. David Tennant, it feels like David Tennant's everywhere for me. He's in Star Wars and, you know, Doctor Who, back in Doctor Who, as I'm a Doctor Who fan. I just thought of a podcast idea for later. Why didn't I think of Doctor Who earlier? Honestly, I'm dumb. I'm literally going to be like, after recording this and recording some other things I want to do, I'm going to be rewatching Doctor Who. So yeah, should have put that in the thing earlier. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like, Doctor Who be perfect idea. And especially if I have Sky Slayer on, yeah, I'll do that. But yeah. Alright. But yeah. But Rebels is pretty cool. And I think that will wrap up this episode. And yeah. But until next time, peace, and yeah. Thank you for watching the Owl Podcast.